It has been well over a decade since we've seen a new home console Mario Kart game. Because of that, the possibilities for Mario Kart on the Switch 2 are practically limitless. Of course, we're gonna make countless videos talking about future characters and tracks that we could get, but this is an entirely new Mario Kart, and I want to talk about the stuff that we couldn't have just gotten in like the Booster Course Pass. I'm talking brand new modes, and entire massive mechanics that will fully shake up the way this game plays. Yes, we already got confirmation that you can play with 24 racers in this clip, but even within just the 15 seconds or so of footage we got, there is so much more to be discussed here. And again, since this is the first time in over a decade we've gotten a look at a brand new Mario Kart, today I'm gonna get a little crazy with it. I'm gonna be hitting you guys with 10 different theories that, if true, would completely change the way this game is played. Will these theories be true? I don't know. I mean, some of them might be, some of them probably won't be, but they're all gonna come with hard evidence pointing out little details in this trailer that I haven't really seen anyone else talk about. I just want to get hype and speculate about this game because these theories are stuff that I genuinely think could change Mario Kart forever. Let's jump right into it though. Let's start off with theory number 1. Okay, so in this clip right here, you can see Mario and a bunch of other characters go over this boost panel. However, if you pay close attention, when Mario goes past the boost panel, he gets this almost slipstream looking animation, but there's a couple things weird with this. For one, he's the only character who gets this effect, despite other characters clearly hitting the boost panel and even getting the flames out their exhaust, signifying that they're getting the speed boost from the boost panel. Additionally, the aura Mario gets doesn't necessarily look like a slipstream, mainly because it's a little red. It almost looks like Mario red, and this is where theory number 1 comes in. Let's talk about character classes. To me, it almost looks like Mario with this red aura is getting like a charge up from going over this boost panel. So here's the theory. What if different characters are categorized by different groups? For each group, there's a different action that will give them charge, and Mario, maybe from the speed group, gets charge from going over boost panels. Other characters could be in the trick group and get charged from doing tricks off of ramps, and others could be in the attack group, getting charged by hitting opponents with items like a green shell or banana. Once you get enough charge, maybe you can use it and get a speed boost or some other buff that helps you throughout the race. Different character classes like this would be super interesting, as it would actually change how you race depending on which character you drive. Obviously, they had different stats before, but each one having a different buff based on their class could be super interesting. And again, why is Mario the only one getting this effect when he goes over the boost panel, despite the fact that these other racers go over the boost panel? That just makes no sense. I think he's charging something up. For theory number 2, I want to talk about why there are so many lights all around. We don't know much about this track, but it's clear they want to keep this thing pretty well lit. Not only are there a ton of different street lights and tons of these giant race lights, but Yoshi's Diner has a ton of neon lights on the building, and there are even what look to be unlit neon lights surrounding different rocks right off the track. As is, these have no reason to exist on this track, as it takes place during a bright summer day, but boom, what if this track can turn into nighttime? Suddenly, all the giant light structures and unlit neon signs make so much more sense. So does this massive highway leading out into the horizon. There's really nothing to look at here except for the massive sky, but if that sky could contain a setting sun or potentially a bunch of stars and the moon, that would make a lot more sense as to why it seems to be so dang emphasized, especially on this massive highway. Speaking of the highway, it makes a lot more sense. Looking at this right now, obviously the track looks great, but this specific section looks awful. Sure, there's like a boost panel here and there, some coins and an item box, but this seems to be one of the longest and biggest straightaways in Mario Kart franchise history. But if it turns to night, it all makes so much more sense. Suddenly, this massive highway becomes so much scarier to drive on, as it's only illuminated by moonlight, these dinky streetlights above, and headlights from the cars dotting the highway. But how does it turn into nighttime? It's clearly day. Welcome to theory number 3. Yeah, this one's gonna be quick because you might have heard something like this already, but people think that this right here is a Wonder Seed. Not only is it an orange Wonder Seed, which is the same color as the Wonder Seeds you get in the desert levels of Super Mario Bros. Wonder. Where are we again? Oh yeah, a desert. But also, this new Mario Kart game seems to be pulling a lot from Wonder, specifically in character designs and animation. Not only that, but this new Mario Kart game and Super Mario Wonder were literally the only 2 games shown off in this Switch 2 reveal trailer. So yeah, theory number 3 is that this thing is actually a Wonder Seed, and it'll drastically change up every course you race on during the middle of your circuit whenever someone grabs it. Given that this course is called Mario Bros. Circuit, so it's likely very early on in the game, if not the first course you race on, having a more basic Wonder effect such as changing the time of day would make a lot of sense, because you'd want to introduce this mechanic to players before you really build on it later on. Unfortunately for this theory, while a lot of people say this does look like a Wonder Seed, many others are saying it looks like a can of of gas or like a bag of food from the Yoshi's Diner it's next to. On top of that, even if it is a Wonder Seed, that doesn't really make a ton of sense because it's actually the Wonder Flower that causes the levels to go all crazy. Still wanted to bring up this theory for you guys because a lot of people have been talking about it. This next theory might be the most interesting one in this entire video. It's certainly my favorite, so let's jump into it. Here's the evidence. This course seems designed in an extremely weird way. There's a massive pit stop at the starting line, but unlike the one from GBA Mario Circuit, there's no boost pad or item box to incentivize coming over here. On top of that, it looks like you can go behind Yoshi's Diner, but why? Even if there are a bunch of coins or even an item box over there, it's so out of the way that it could not possibly be useful. Why even allow people to drive over here? You can't say it's just because now there's double the amount of racers, because we're already on a massive 4-lane highway and everyone's still bunched up anyway. Speaking of this highway, what is this ramp over here? You can see one ramp really clearly, but it looks like there's almost two, creating like a stunt jump for racers to do, but there's no reason to ever do that in an actual race. Jumping back to the starting line, this escalator at first looks like it's out of bounds, but why is it wide enough to fit a car on? There are just so many weird quirks in this track, and in my opinion, they can all be used as evidence pointing towards a story mode. Okay, hear me out. I'm not talking some massive single player campaign, although that would be cool. I'm talking something that's more of a mix between mission mode and Super Mario Party Jamboree's story mode. Yeah, okay, none of you could have guessed I was gonna say that, but in Jamboree, you just walk around the board at your own pace. There are certain spaces that you can get to and then do a challenge, aka playing a specific minigame and having to beat a specific score. There are also places where you can just talk to NPCs and pick stuff up that helps you along your journey. Coins, collectibles, whatever. It's a pretty easy way for you to explore the board and get familiarized with it while still feeling like a pretty legitimate campaign. I think that's exactly what they could be doing here with the new Mario Kart. Why would any of this stuff exist? Specifically this like trick ramp over here, if not to give you bonus points or hide a collectible behind the diner when you're driving around in single player. Why is this little picture of a chain chomp here on the opposite side of a rock that you would probably never see? It looks just like Mario Odyssey hint art. Sticking with Yoshi's Diner, there is literally one parking spot here. They could have added in more off to the side or some back here, but no, they actually textured in just one parking spot and then even added this little yellow thing as if it's begging you to actually park there in game. I think that's because once you get to this track or level in single player, if you do park there, maybe you can go to Yoshi's Diner. I don't think you'd actually like get out of the car, but some menu could pop up and maybe you could buy a collectible or consumable. Maybe you park there, grab a mushroom, and then use that to complete this trick jump, which again makes no sense in the normal Mario Kart context. There's so many weird things we see in this track that seem like they would only be useful if you could drive around the track at your own leisure with a bunch of collectibles and missions placed around, which sounds to me like a story mode. That would seriously change everything. Again, I don't know if all these are gonna happen. I don't know if any of these are gonna happen, but there's so much here to speculate about, so I wanted to get my thoughts out there. If you guys would like a story mode, let me know down in the comments below. That would be so sick, and like, it kind of makes sense with all the weird things they've added to this track for seemingly no reason. If you're enjoying this video, hit the subscribe button as well, because we got so much more Mario Kart coverage coming soon. This video is more just me going over a bunch of theories I had when watching the trailer 10,000 times, but hey man, I think they're interesting to talk about. Moving on to our next theory, you can see these cones move. It looks like there's almost a bitty bud underneath the cones, and it pops out, walks a little, and then goes back down. You can see these cones are actually walking to block off this path, which is already blocked off by this Shine Sprite sign, except this sign is inexplicably floating, which things don't normally do in Mario Kart. There are also other signs with arrows all around, but they all have wheels and feel like they actually live within the world, and they're not just those booster course pass red arrows that we saw in some of the city courses, which leads me to say this. I think tracks will change with multiple branching paths and sections per lap, but it will actually feel organic. Instead of just flashing up big red arrows, these things will roll out blocking paths, and the cones will literally get up and move to do the same thing. However, if the cones are able to get up and move, then maybe tracks change at random? This would be insane, but what if there was a mode in this game where you could race through a track and there were something like 5 different laps that we could get, and it just randomly chose 3 of those laps, so you didn't truly know what was coming up next? That's my theory, and I think it would be super interesting. I also think the fact that this seems to be a Mario Kart starting lap banner all the way out here could potentially lend credence to this, because we see the starting line right here, but also they're not starting here. They're already racing when they get to the starting line. So do laps change randomly? I don't know, but it looks possible. For my 6th theory in this video, I want to talk about this. Yes, these blue springs right here. There is a ton of suspension in this kart, which I think is interesting because off-road in Mario Kart has always kind of been a binary thing. You're either on the main track or on the off-road and should use a mushroom. But this suspension, along with the fact that we see cars move a lot more, tilting up and down and bumping around, kind of makes me think that off-roading is going to be a way bigger feature in this game. This is only emphasized by the carts that characters are driving. First, Daisy's in this jet ski looking thing with seemingly functional propellers, but more importantly, Rosalina's straight up on a snowmobile that doesn't even have tires. It has skis on the front and treads on the back. We have never seen a design like this in Mario Kart. Even the Mario Kart Tour snowmobile kart actually had tires. Because of that, I think what terrain you're driving on or in could be really important to this game. Picking a kart like Rosalina's will help you when you're going over like a track with mud, or definitely a track with snow, but you might be a bit slower on the actual asphalt road. Daisy's kart might be super good underwater due to these propellers back here, but maybe not as good in other spots. Between the more dynamic movement of the karts, the suspension being front and center on what looks to be this game's standard kart, and vehicles like this snowmobile we've simply never seen before with treads instead of tires, I think it's entirely possible that different terrain plays a massive role in this game. This actually leads us into our next theory, which has to do with this pit stop. I already mentioned it before when I was talking about the story mode, but why would you ever go here? There seem to be no coins or items or boost pads or really any reason to do this. Yeah, I'm a fan of alternate paths, but generally in Mario Kart, there's a reason to take a slower path. You're rewarded with some sort of item or something, but here you're rewarded with nothing. What if you can take a pit stop and actually change your kart out in the middle of the race? Yes, I know this seems absolutely insane, but again, why else would this be here? It could either bring up a menu where you can quickly choose between a different kart presets, or maybe you choose two different karts before the start of every Grand Prix, and driving through the pit stop just hot swaps your kart on the fly. I don't know, it's an interesting idea. The eighth theory I have in this video has to do with Princess Peach. Specifically, what she's wearing. It's her normal Peach dress that you'll see in pretty much every game, but what's interesting about this is she's wearing it on a bike. Ever since bikes were introduced in Mario Kart Wii, characters like Peach, Daisy, or Rosalina had different costumes for riding on their bike. It seems very odd that they would just remove that for what's supposed to be a next-gen Mario Kart game. So either this leads credence to my previous theory where you can hot swap different karts, and therefore obviously they would just keep everyone in their standard attire, or what this theory's about, there are different costumes that you can equip when you choose a character. Nintendo already did dabble with this in Mario Kart 8. Different characters had alternate costumes you could wear. There were a bunch of different colors for Shy Guys and Yoshis, and you could pick different like Inklings or versions of Link when you were racing as them. What if every character now is getting different costumes? That would make sense then why Peach is wearing her normal dress. Maybe the biker outfit is just a different costume. I actually think this is likely, because again, you can race with 24 different racers, so they're going to need to add some variety to the characters, and adding different costumes is the smartest way to do that because it doesn't take a ton of development time, but also adds that visual variety that you're desperately gonna need when you have 24 racers in a lobby. Maybe this Donkey Kong is also a costume, or you can get the more standard classic Donkey Kong as well. Probably not. I don't think this is a costume. I just think this is a flat out redesign, but it's worth mentioning. All right, the next theory has to do with this billboard right here. We can see Morton, one of the Koopalings, getting his own advertisement. We can also see Nabbit getting a similar thing at this section. Now, I guess this theory could just be that Morton and Nabbit are confirmed. And while, yeah, I think they'll probably be in the game, and Morton being in the game means that all the other Koopalings will be in the game, that's not just my theory. My theory here is that there will be 50 characters at launch. That is an insane number. But not only do we see like 24 different racers here, plus all the Koopalings and Nabbit if you believe the advertisements, but also, again, there are 24 racers in a lobby. They are going to need to have a bunch of characters here so that you're not racing online, seeing the same like 5 characters over and over and over and over again because there's double the amount of racers per lobby. 50 characters seems like a ton until, again, you remember there are 24 characters. Double that, that's 48. Add 2 more, that's 50. I don't think that's an insane number to ask for or even theorize about. But let me know if you guys think that's too ambitious in the comments below. I don't think it's crazy though, because again, there's 24 racers in a lobby. Okay, the last theory I want to talk about is one that I hold really near and dear to my heart. That is because I have wanted this for so long now. In fact, I've made videos on the channel about it before, including full-on animated mock-ups of how it would work. I am talking about a knockout game mode. I made this mock-up for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe that explained it pretty well. Basically, at the end of every race in a Grand Prix, the bottom fourth of the lobby just drops out and don't get to play in the rest of it. This goes on and on until the final race, where it's whittled down to just the best of the best. You get a super competitive race, and it just adds more variety and intensity to playing Mario Kart. However, one problem I had with this is that a final race with just 3 people would feel a little weird. I don't know if you guys have ever tried playing a Mario Kart race with like 3 or 4 people, but it doesn't really work super well. However, now again, with 24 racers, removing 6 after each race, the final race would still have have 6 people. Not a ton, but definitely enough to have a good time. Look at the starting lines. They could even just remove it line at a time. Get rid of this line, get rid of this line, get rid of this line. Boom, it makes complete sense. Yeah, that's about it. This one doesn't really have any evidence from within the trailer, but I had this idea, and I genuinely believe now with 24 racers, there's no better time than now to actually get it. If somehow you don't think this idea will work well in Mario Kart, well, it already has. Mario Kart Wii mods in particular love this game mode, and I can understand why. It is just plain fun. Really, this entire video, I just wanted to get my ideas for this game out there because it looks so interesting and just so different. Pretty much everything we see in this clip, from the track to the characters to little details in the background, it's all just so odd and makes me think about what more could be hiding behind this 15-second clip. I genuinely think there will be a lot hiding behind it. I mean, again, we haven't gotten a brand new home console Mario Kart game in over 10 years. I know we just got the Booster Course Pass, but that took A, pretty much no development time, and B, it's not like they were bringing new ideas from the Mario Kart team in. Every new idea they've had for the last decade plus is going into this game. So I genuinely think there's a decent chance that some of these ideas, even the more pie in the sky ones, could be entirely possible. But as always, let me know what you guys think down in the comments section below. We have so many more Mario Kart videos coming soon, so hit the subscribe button if you're looking forward to it. And with that all out of the way, thank you guys for watching and listening to my theories. I'm Thomas from the Switch Top, signing off. Peace.